Clint Eastwood and Charles Bronson and Bruce Lee and John Wayne all wrapped up in one package in a leather jacket.
He had the perfect look for professional wrestling. The perfect size, the physique, the face, the whole 9 yards.
This incredible it factor that I had not seen in a lot of pro wrestlers. He had it.
He was going up the ladder, man. He had it all. He burned it up there for a while. And of course, not very long.
Magnum, 1985 was a darn good year for you. What's 86 have in store for you?
Well, 86 will be a continuation of the quest that I started in 1985, which was for the World's Heavyweight Championship held by Ric Flair.
He was going right to the top. I could not see any road taking him anywhere else except to the top.
We had everything sunk into him. Terry Allen was the future.
As Magnum T.A. closes in on the heavyweight title, he begins living the life of a world champion.
At that time, I had more money than I had since. I'd walked in the Porsche dealership and they had a brand new 911 Turbo sitting all on the floor. And that was the Mac Daddy. Write me up, I'm taking it. It was quick and it was cool. And I had the need for speed like Top Gun. You know, if it had a combustion engine in it and it was loud and it was fast, I liked it. My plan was to have a run with the belt, I'm 27, by the time I'm 30, out of it, and then go drive NASCARs. I didn't want to be running around in my underwear in front of people at 30-some years old. I thought that was ridiculous.
On October 14th, 1986, after defeating gorgeous Jimmy Garvin in front of a roaring crowd in South Carolina, Magnum T.A. hits the road in his prized Porsche 911.
I'm 5 minutes from my house. I'm on a 2-lane road, and I've driven hundreds of times. It's like the horse turns the corner and knows the barn's right there, and I'm on the track. It was raining so hard, you know, coming back, you could barely see. The road that I was traveling on that night had a little slight bend curve in it. Right in the middle of the curve was a little divot in the road where water had gathered, probably 2-3 inches of water all the way across the road. When I went around the corner and that dip right in the middle of the car hydroplaned. When a car hydroplanes, it means your tire patch loses contact with that road. So my tires were actually floating on top of that water. So I did what I had done before to counteract something, and I made the situation worse. The car spun violently the other direction, and I broadsided a telephone pole so hard that I cut it in half. It happened so fast, it was violent, and the blow was like I had been hit by a freight train. I didn't know I was not okay until I couldn't move. And I was so big in the car that my shoulder was right up against the door, and I had just maybe an inch of headroom. So the blow took me right into the roof. The emergency crew came, and one of them grabbed me by my jacket to try to pull me up. And the other guy stopped and said, "No, don't, I can't move." So they used the jaws of life, cut the whole top of the car off, peeled it back like a tin can, and stabilized me. They couldn't airlift me out because it was raining so hard. It took me by ambulance. It changed my life. It changed the people I worked for. It changed my family. It changed everybody in a nanosecond.
The police called me. They were taking him to the hospital. On my way to the hospital, I was behind the tow truck that had his Porsche on it. And to see the Porsche the way it was very frightening. The roof was off. It was a mess. It looked like he probably was dead. Well, they took me aside and they told me that he had fractured his vertebrae. They needed to get him into surgery quickly.
My first view of a medical professional that's giving me a diagnosis, you know, he used the words C5 quadriplegic and neck down paralysis. Me into one shot of ever attaining any level of mobility beyond sitting in a wheelchair and being taken care of by someone for the rest of your life. Matter of fact, they were just trying to figure out how I was going to breathe. They said my lungs were paralyzed. I mean, they were saying things to me like, well, maybe you might be able to be on an iron lung instead of a ventilator.
The guy's in intensive care. They've got him all hooked up. They keep him sedated. You just feared for the worst. It was, is he truly going to make it? What was going through his mind?
They're shooting me up with morphine every time I blink because they can't communicate with me. If I try to communicate anything, they think I'm hurting. So I'm in such bad shape, they're just zapping me with the moon and stars.
My brother came in, he just said, he'll never, ever get in the ring again.